Okay, we got lights, camera. Are you ready, Daddy?
Ice Bear's always ready.
Usually Chris does it, but would you like to clap? Not with your hands. Hello and welcome back to
What's the safe word?
I'm Amp.
I'm Mr. Christopher, and yes, I took the substance. Girl, we gotta get this thing moving. I've only got 15 minutes. And I'm Sampson.
And today we are talking about work. Yes, I get it. We can talk about the elephant in the room. You've been working out. Well, Christopher's not here today. He's on vacation, having a lovely time. Sampson did step in to give us a little help today. But Sampson, who are you?
That's me.
Who are you?
I am an artist. I am a sex worker. I'm an editor. I'm a little bit of a, freelancer renaissance man.
And Sampson actively helps us to create this channel every week and do edits. So today I figured who best to have on here to cause absolute chaos than this human. Between myself and Daddy, we have a lot of studio work with a little bit of our feet within like the fans content. But Sampson is a... Speaking of stepping on a line.
365-foot girl bumping that.
Now, I've been a sex worker for about a decade now, and Daddy has been doing it for 30 years, but Sampson's of a different generation and a different perspective when it comes to sex work. So where I started in studios and then kind of navigated to fan content, Sampson, how did you get started?
I got into sex work about 3 years ago, and it's been something that's really enriched my life. I think the way that I got into it was just having some really wonderful folks in my life, many of them often expressionists, drag artists, and I really admired how they were able to express themselves not only through their art, but also sex work.
And sex work is this wonderful place where like art is so important to it. Creative people come to sex work, especially nerdy people, because there's so much you can do with that, with your own hyperfixations and fashions.
You're doing so good.
Oh, thank you. Quiet on the set, please. We're trying to do a shoot.
We miss you.
And you thought Christopher wasn't here. So today we're gonna answer all your questions sex work, from fans content to escorting to studio work and how porn has changed over time, including what might happen in the future. But without further ado, Sampson, would you like to do the explosion? So we asked you for your questions on BlueSky, and these are going to be our sexy, sensual, sex-worky answers.
You're like Goldie Hawn and Death Becomes Her. Sex. Sexy.
Sexual, sensual, sexy, sex.
And our first question today comes from Miji-kun, who asks, how do the economics work for gays who can't find the hypotenuse to save their lives? Well, the limit does not exist.
The limit does not exist.
This is especially pertinent for gays because 1, we're bad at sitting, and 3, we're bad at math.
Oh, she's just squatting right now. What the? For real though, the first question comes from DJ Dishwater, and it asks,
DJ Dishwater? Oh, can we get a round of applause for DJ Dishwater? Fabulous, fabulous name.
how do you get started and how do you get an audience or clients? I don't know what else to call it, sorry. Well, first of all, wonderful terminology. How did you get started, Sampson?
I got started with sex work just by kind of experimenting in the waters of the Twitterverse back before it was a blistering hellscape. Side note, moved to BlueSky right now. It's really, really cool.
And actually, that's a great point, is when you get in on the ground floor of something is a wonderful place to not only start, but to find other people to collaborate with.
Every social media website has its life cycle, right? And so when you're kind of in, like you said, at this ground floor, you're gonna find other people that didn't feel welcome in that other not good space.
As for myself, I got started over a decade ago in studio work. So that was lights, camera, and sometimes there was action. Sometimes there was...
You better work. Cover girl. Work it, girl. You're clear that wasn't good.
Oh, well.
Wet the set.
No! And studio work was always kind of this weird amalgamation of like professionalism, mess, and then, hey, we might make a video somewhere around here, I don't know. But the way you got an audience back then was to work with large studios, get a following, share that following, and then collaborate with people. Whereas I feel like getting clients and an audience nowadays is a little different.
I think a lot of it is that porn has moved from perfect cosmetically to kind of being a little bit more into their personalities, right? So we've kind of moved into this micro content creation era where a lot of the people that you're following on Just for Fans, OnlyFans, the reason you're following them is because you like their creativity, you like their personality, which historically has not always been the case with studio porn.
Or you just like that one niche fetish and content that they create. And I think the best way to find people to work with in those fetish contents is to obviously follow them, but to find an audience is to cater to that audience.
Working with studios is one way to find an audience, but working with clients is a completely other thing.
Because that's something that revolves around actually building kind of a little like book of people that you are doing services for. There's so many words for it, whether you're hooking or you're working or you're
crystallized.
After a long night of hooking.
I do a lot of massage. I find that that's a really easy way for me, as someone who's a little bit more on the demi spectrum but is really interested in sex work, to kind of have an activity that breaks the ice, and then as you're getting to know a little bit more about that person, you can kind of understand them a little bit better and how to provide that service in the best way you can.
What about Blockbuster?
Blockbuster, yeah. I'm just hanging out by the gumball machine at Blockbuster saying, you want one of these blue gumballs and get a free video rental, baby? Do you remember the blue gumballs?
Yes. Did you ever rent porn from a Blockbuster?
You could rent porn from a Blockbuster?
I'm too old. I'm too old.
What?
Gotta go check into my old person home.
No, come back!
Knock, knock.
Consider your blocks busted, girl. No, I grew up in rural Utah. There's no way that we had porn in our Blockbuster.
You guys don't have porn at all. What do you mean?
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about that. Let's talk about Just for Fans being blocked in Utah and Texas. Girl, get a VPN.
Okay, this one I'm sure you're gonna have a lot to say about. From Do Art, who asks, do you have any tips for starting an OnlyFans account discreetly without family members getting wind of it?
Okay, listen, I'm kind of biased here, and a lot of the time I've had people come to me as I've started to find success with my own personal content, and I actually get a little bit peeved when people ask this question, and I have to take a step back.
Me
Okay,
too.
I'm so glad it's not just me.
If I had to do the hardship of figuring it out, no disrespect. We have tons of podcasts talking about sex work and OnlyFans and like content, but like, I am not your cheat sheet.
No,
you know?
yeah.
I had to do the hard work, and you should do a little bit of the hard work too, so you understand it.
To just be like, yeah, well, I don't really want to have to like do the work, and I don't really like know how to edit, and I don't really want to have to like post things all the time, and I'm definitely not going to show my face, but like, how do I get like all this money?
Because I'm so hot, and I think people should pay me. That's what it gives sometimes.
It absolutely
I had someone who bullied me in high school. Ugh. Years now later, obviously, we're both adults now, but they find sex work because they found my stuff, and they're like, I'm looking to get involved, you know, hey, do you mind helping me figure it out? Full on like head crack. I'm sorry, the person who masked and used me as a gay shield in high school and made fun of me and bullied me, and now you want me to start your sex work career for you? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
That said, maybe we can give some tips on how to keep your content, maybe not discreet, but at least keep it siloed off. Sure. I would say find a niche audience that you can really dive into. If you're doing content, especially kink stuff, it helps to have a few kinks that you're really good at and passionate about, because if you're not enjoying the content that you're making, it's gonna get old, it's gonna get boring, and people can tell when you're not enjoying the stuff that you make. Why aren't you smiling? Sampson, smile. Are you having a good time?
I'm having such a good time.
I need to
right
see
now.
that money shot.
Fuck yeah. This feels so good. Wow. I've never taken a dick this. On the flip side of that, tips for escorting, make sure that you're keeping yourself safe. I would recommend getting a Google Voice number. There's a lot of services that will make sure that your actual identifying information isn't linked to any of this kind of work, especially as we're entering into a new era of Project 2025, where it could be possible that charges could be pressed on all sex workers in the future.
Make sure that your job is not a place that would get wind of that and fire you. Make sure you are in a welcoming environment and also a welcoming place in the country to do such things.
Yeah, and think about your future. Are you ever going to want to be in an industry or a job position where this could potentially be a problem in the future? If you have aspirations to be a politician, if you have aspirations to be a teacher or work around children in any capacity, anything that could pop up later and have severe consequences is something you need to think about now.
Beyond that, I would say get at least one decent camera that's nice, that works for you. Get some nice front-facing lighting to make sure that you look decent when you're shooting something. Make sure you clean your room. We can see the dirty clothes in the corner. And make sure you treat it like a job.
You have to. That's why most people can't do these kinds of self-employment things. You have to take yourself as seriously as you take a 9-to-5.
Or if you have a sponsor, like today's sponsor.
Fume is an award-winning flavored air device that's perfect for anyone who's looking to break away from some bad habits or just wanting something enjoyable to use. It's nicotine-free, non-toxic, and completely guilt-free. Now, flavored air isn't like vaping. If vapor was compared to sticky sodas, Fume's cores are closer to herbal teas. Fume has lots of delicious flavors to choose from, like crisp mint, orange vanilla, and with flavored air, you can satisfy your oral fixation, which I know a thing about, through a passive diffusion system that utilizes no electronics, vapor, or combustion. Even physiology shows stopping a bad habit cold turkey is hard for your brain, and Fume works by replacing your hand-to-mouth fixation, calming nervous tension, and distracting you from your bad habit with delicious flavors and just a little bit of fidgeting. With no batteries, no vapor, and nothing to charge, it's easy to use, safe anywhere, and looks amazing with a sleek, high-quality design that anyone can love unboxing. With refreshing flavors like mint that reminds you of an herbal tea, or just an orange vanilla that reminds you of your favorite dessert, Fume fills the void of that bad habit, but also helps to make a difference and promote wellness and better habits within your life, as well as being backed by doctors within the US. So this holiday season, start some new habits for yourself or give some new habits to your loved ones with Fume by heading to tryfume.com/Safeword and use code Safeword to get a free Fume topper when you order a journey pack. It's the perfect addition to make your gift even more special. It's something your favorite pup or kinkster can chew on, and if you're lucky, you can even win one of Fume's limited edition gold-plated devices this holiday season. Again, go to tryfume.com/Safeword or just use the QR code on screen and grab yours now to make someone's holiday unforgettable.
So thank you again, Fume, for sponsoring this episode and helping us out of this fuming situation of America and sex work and always a problem.
That was a stretch from the boat to the dock, girl.
Next question from Chaos Daddy says, what's your ideal wig for a roleplay scene? Wig.
Did you just say wig?
Wig?
Did you just say wig? Yes.
Wig.
Wig.
A lace front, probably.
If I was gonna wear a wig, I would want it to be a Sephiroth wig, but like with the lace front of the unclockable Nicole Kidman.
And your dick is the sword.
Wig.
Next from Dirty Blonde Muscle. What do you find to be the best way to approach a potential collaborator, especially to those starting out?
This is something that one of my favorite creators actually touched on in one of their live shows, Jonah Wheeler. Shout out to Jonah, absolutely give them a follow. He was saying, being absolutely clear, not only if you are a collaborator or a client, you are asking for a service here, right? And so you wanna be very clear, hey, I like what you look like, these are the activities that I'm interested in, what are the rates for those services? Or as a collaborator, I like this video that you made with this person. Are you interested in this kink as well? When are you gonna be in an area that we can make that happen, you know?
And just stop there. If you get too into the muck of it and you start going, and also how big are your feet? And also, what underwear are you wearing today? Did you get a haircut recently? How do you smell? How are you feeling? How are you doing?
Like
Would you want to buy? Could we work together, please? I want to shoot something. Like, don't suffocate the person.
Yeah.
Yes.
Don't suffocate the person, and also be mindful of substances in the porn world. Oftentimes, that's just a sign for me to disengage. I think you also need to understand the idea of supply and demand with resources that somebody has in their life. If somebody is a sex worker, they're going to be having sex a lot of the time during their day. So they may not want to hook up with you, not because they're not interested in you, but because they just 4 times today, and they took, 4 clients, and they just don't have that energy for you right now.
So much sex and so much No, for real though, having sex nonstop is a lot. And if you have skills, make it known that you're good at shooting, good at editing. You would like to do that for the creator. Making it so that you are an asset to work with makes it much easier to work with.
For me, as an editor, a lot of the time, I will end up taking on more projects than I probably should, because this is what I do and I'm really quick at it. But it is nice if you're coming to a content creator to collaborate and you just say, hey, I can do the editing, I can do the whatever, if you're really passionate about, hooking up with this content creator.
Oh, I love this next one. This one from Wonder Bread Pup says, very basic, but what's your favorite part of the job?
Oh my God, easy. I think for me, I've always been a big daddy's boy. I've always gotten along with people who are older than I am significantly, and that's most of my clients. And genuinely, for me, I can find something that is sexy in just about anyone. I mean, I can think of all the time that I've been taking clients, which I'm talking probably thousands of clients at this point.
Hundreds. Yeah, hundreds.
There's been one person, one case where I was like, I don't think I'm gonna see that person again. But most people, I really end up having a really good connection with.
What happened to, did you kill them?
He never made it out.
God. And for me, it was the freedom of not working a 9 to 5, doing what I enjoyed, and also being sexually expressive because I grew up in a very sexually repressed household. So when I was able to have that autonomy, pay my bills, and also sleep in some days when I felt like it, that was the best part of the job for me. The next question from Pylon asks, does anyone in your family know? If so, how did they find out and how'd that conversation go? Can I start this one?
Yes, absolutely.
So I started sex work again a decade ago. About 3 or 4 years ago, I had that conversation with my family about what I do, why, and essentially approached it in such a way that I was like, I pay my bills, I pay my taxes, I save some money, and the stuff that I do helps people to express themselves, to learn about sex and sex ed. And here's our YouTube channel and all the stuff that we do. I get to give jobs to people. I get to pay artists to help me create things.
That's me.
And I really enjoy doing it.
Yeah, it's actually only been really recently for me that I've had my Diana Ross coming out about my sex work to my family.
Oh
The
God.
world to know.
Let's think of another song.
I'm
No.
coming out.
That's how you did it?
Yeah.
That's how you did it.
Absolutely.
You came out of the closet and you were like, I'm gay, but also sex
Yeah.
work.
I'm coming out. I get for money.
We'll work on the lyrics.
Specifically, I'm very, very close with my mom. I'm really lucky. We grew up very conservative religious, and so it's been a really beautiful journey to kind of get out of that with my mom, and so we've kind of grown up more alongside each other than having kind of parental relationship. So my mom was very, very open to it when I told her, and was just, you know, I'm happy that you're happy, you're keeping yourself safe, you know, I love you unconditionally, and that's pretty much the extent of that conversation. I'm very lucky.
We're lucky in that we had those positive conversations at our own pace, but I know a lot of people that have been outed or blackmailed or
doxxed.
pressured or doxxed, and that sucks. So keep that in mind. As much as we're very lucky, sometimes people get put in really hard spots.
Especially now, I think something to be mindful of when you're getting into porn is thinking, just look at the tools that we have right now. You can take a picture of something, upload it to Google Lens, and it can tell you exactly, you know, it can find matches. So I'm thinking in the next 50 to 60 years, maybe less, it's gonna be possible to take a photo of someone's face and everything they've ever been in is gonna pop up. So just be mindful, you know, we're entering into a new digital frontier. So just know that this is what you're going to do. Make your choice and then always remember why you made that choice.
And the flip side of that conversation, TFB Loki asks, any you have regretted doing a scene with and why? Fan content, I usually don't get to the point of shooting with someone unless I do wholeheartedly and wholebuttedly want to work with them. But there are a number of studio scenes that I did do with some large and small studios where directors didn't read your call sheet and what you're into and not into. And I regretted those after the fact because I felt really disrespected and I let that studio know and I never worked with them again.
The only collaboration that I've ever regretted was having someone...
This one right now.
Fuck! Damn it! No, you stole it from me!
Oh no, really?
Yes! Our one brain cell lit up. No, the only one that I've ever regretted.
We're trying to talk about something regretful and we can't keep it straight.
Yeah, the only one that I've ever...
The door's open.
Ooh, we're good. The only... Shut up, you stupid bitch!
This next question comes from Jay that says, I have a question about escorts.
That's me.
That's the question.
There's no further question.
No, it goes on to say, besides the typical paid hookups, how do some escorts feel about clients who just pay for non-sexual services, cuddles, lunch dates, etc.? Do they care about clients' well-being, or is it just a transactional view? For context, I paid for cuddles the other day when I was lonely.
You know, this is a really, really common thing, especially as someone who does a lot of massage as part of my escorting. I find that there's this lack of human touch in our society, and it's actually a really detrimental thing to people's mental health, right? And so, my mental health is fine, thank you. No, I think everyone deserves to feel that kind of, you know, that warmth and that thing, and if you don't have someone in your life that, you know, is checking those boxes for you, then I think it's a very understandable thing to want to hire an escort. What are you not getting in your life?
I'm giving you human touch.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. To that, I think it's hard for some people to wrap their mind around the fact that they can pay someone for a warm and loving service. There is no shame in paying someone for a service. And I know so many sex workers who would just love to be there for someone, whether it's sexually or not. And honestly, some sex workers don't want to have to stay hard the entire time, so something more sensual is a lot less pressure for the sex worker too.
Yeah, and when you consider that most of the time when you are a gay specific escort, there's plenty of bottoms out there, so most people hire me as a top. So if I don't have to...
Why did you look at me when you said that? Why did you look at me when you said that?
There's plenty of bottoms out there. Not pointed at all.
I'm a top.
It's a much less stressful experience when I know that I don't have to perform that way for the entire time that we're together.
The boyfriend experience is lovely.
The boisterous boy-wife experience.
Next from Aspiring Himbo. Did you write this?
Ice Bear likes turtle.
Says, what is the oddest turn on you've ever heard of, and what was the oddest request you've ever been willing to indulge? I had someone once that asked me to just blow up a bunch of balloons in a room and then just jump on top of them and pop it. And like, I get looning, I get the appeal of it, but that was probably the weirdest thing that anyone had ever asked me to do. And then he's like, I'll buy you a PlayStation 4 for it.
Work.
Yeah, pop off, literally.
I also had this guy one time want like really thinly sliced cucumbers, and he wanted to like eat them from between my toes. Like individual, like that was it. That was his request. I was like, okay. Oh. I'm your little salad today.
Right in front of my salad?
Next from Raquinox, they ask, I often wonder how much of it is a creator actually into something versus they do it because they know it'll get views.
Oh, engagement farming is a huge problem right now. I'm talking like the sand video on Twitter, you know the one. I was actually lucky enough to kind of sit in an audit an Onyx Northwest session where they had Guy Baldwin, who's a really famous kinkster, who was speaking, and one of the things he said, you know, free kink died the day money got involved. The moment it became monetizable to look like you knew what you were doing, we started introducing a whole new Pandora's box of problems.
And that's because people will they'll light people on fire and then push them in a pool. They will tie people up and throw them in a pool. And they'll do that for money.
Yeah.
And so sometimes it really is that they're just really into it, but that doesn't mean they should be showing people how to do it. And then you have the flip side of that, of the really hot people that put on a harness upside down and grab a little plastic flogger and they're like, yeah, you're good, I'm gonna. And then they go at it and you're like,
this is tough. Yeah.
I'm a top.
Especially over Folsom when like a lot of the LA boys come up to San Francisco and they're like having a great time on Harrison. And then like the moment that photo is taken, they're like, ugh, get this cheap shit off me. Let's get away from these bottom of the barrel gays.
And that's the difference between S&M and S&M. One is submission and masochism, the other one is standing and modeling. Nahode asks, how serious is the planning and logistics behind a scene? What's the most boring job aspect that most people would never know?
Scheduling.
Oh God.
Google Calendars.
Like no one's behind the scenes like storyboarding every single little aspect. Like that's how it used to work with studio porn. You would literally take photos of every position that was gonna happen, and that was before you even filmed, which adds like another 3 hours to already a 6-hour shoot where you have to stay hard. Nowadays, it's really pretty much you just ask someone like, hey, do you wanna do this thing? I'll top, you bottom, or we'll flip, and then I've got a cameraman that can shoot for us or not.
Yeah, nobody likes to feel like they're scheduled. You get your clean out, someone says they're gonna come top, and then they back out at the last minute. Honestly, I think this is one of the reasons too why escorts are a really good investment for people who don't have a lot of time. It's a guaranteed way to get what you need, as opposed to someone else who might flake on you.
The next question from Whiskey asks, how tiring does it get holding a position or reaching/faking something? In studio stuff, sometimes you would quite literally have to hold a position, or let's say you're doing some bondage stuff. There was a shoot once where I had to have my head buried in the ground with my legs splayed and my butt up with my arms like tied down. It was like a camping scene. I had to be like that for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And so I had to hold it for a long time and they would check with me, but I did have to like get unburied a few times.
Yeah.
You don't see all of that when you're doing a scene, but like, do you ever get tired holding that position?
Yeah, and I'll be honest, it's never been harder than it's been right now as I've become slightly boy. Larger.
Old joints. Oh.
Yeah.
Nick knock, nick knock, nick knock.
And so doing something like a dump scene, if you are just like on all fours, ass up for longer than, 2-3 hours, like no, you're gonna have to start like Bonnie Tyler turning around, getting creative. Like it can be really, really hard on your body physically for sure.
Oh, you shot with Bonnie this week too?
Yeah.
Oh, how's she doing?
Well, every now and then she gets a little bit lonely, but I think it really helps when I come around.
Next question. Next question. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. I'm not starved for attention right now. Schrodinger's Thought asked a very thoughtful question, and they say, what was the moment that made you decide to get into sex work?
I think that moment for me was I was pursuing massage a little bit less sexually, and somebody was on my table and they started opening up, I think, in a way that they hadn't before, and they actually had this like full visceral body catharsis where they were like crying and talking about, deep stuff. And having that kind of evolve into a sexual experience because they just needed that touch so badly, I think really reframed my idea of this is a service that people need. Like this is a physical human need that's like on the Maslow's hierarchy pyramid of needs. Like we gotta have this thing.
And for me, I just wanted to get paid to do kinky stuff that was really intense. That's all. And then I did it. I was an artist in Seattle that my job didn't care one way or another, even if they had found out, and I just wanted to have some experiences, and that's why I did it. I got paid to have fun, sexy, kinky times.
The other thing that made me want to do it, girl, getting that first paycheck is no joke.
This next one really hurts my hard drive, and Cosmic asks, how do you keep up with the sheer volume of content? I see sex workers creating so much original content, and I'm curious how you maintain that level of quantity and quality.
Are we gonna talk about the hard drive sitting right there, girl? Yeah. No, it's very limited.
That's 10 terabytes of data that can be used right there. I have 8 of those at home. It is very much like a content farm in some ways because you are continuously creating content, bringing new ideas, it can get really taxing. And it's like any other job where you can get burnout if you're not enjoying it and you're not creating stuff that you actually have fun doing.
The other thing is make sure that you're backing up your backups. You know how many people I've seen on Gumroad that had their stuff, or Patreon, that just had hyper-specific fetish content get removed because suddenly it was against TOS, and decades of work was erased for some of them. Back up your things, because we're living in a constantly changing digital landscape, so as you move to a new site, you can just pull all of your old stuff over.
I mean, this shoot alone right here is probably like 70 gigs of footage, with audio, with shots, with inserts, with takes where Sampson messes up again because he can't get that fucking line done.
Well, and it's hard when like my whole ass has to fit in the frame. That's a lot of data. Big ass.
I need you to leave.
Huge.
I need you to leave.
Huge. It is hard to edit yourself though, I will say. Sometimes you kind of got to get over the sound of your own voice, looking at your own body on camera, especially if you've struggled with dysmorphia in the past. It can be really challenging, so just know getting into it that's also going to be hard.
And last but not least, and probably the most important, comes from Ken, who says, how do you balance content creation with other work, home, relationship needs? It seems that it could get overwhelming keeping up the demand in order to maintain interest. And I think when I hear that question, I think of health, safety, family, friends, and like finances. Balancing requires a lot of scheduling, but it also requires a lot of transparency and honesty with yourself, your partner, your friends, like talking to your doctor.
Yes.
Holy
It's
crap.
a huge one. With sex work, the biggest thing I would say is radical honesty, both with yourself and the people who are in your immediate orbit.
Which means obviously talking to your partners if you do sex work regularly, please do not hide that, but also being really transparent with your doctors, because the way that they're going to treat you is going to be different. And it's important to be able to be honest about that with your doctors so that you can get tested regularly, so you can get on PrEP if that's something you need. DoxyPep is wonderful. Like, you have to know your body really well to be a sex worker, but you also have to be able to advocate for yourself, or you might be taken advantage of.
Also, a real quick way to lose a client? Giving them gonorrhea. You don't want to be cross-contaminating your clients, your shoots, or whatever. It really is important that you take care of yourself.
As far as relationship needs, myself and Daddy have been doing this for over a decade. We are very communicative of our expectations, not only with each other, but with the work that we do. He constantly lets me know when he's doing a shoot. I let him know when I'm traveling for work. It's like any other job where if you're not telling your partner about it, that can feel weird. You don't just go on a trip to insert city for your job without telling your partner.
One of the most empowering things about sex work is being able to support yourself doing something creative. And if you are willing to open yourself to being empowered by that, it can be a really beautiful experience, but you have to have that honesty.
Not to mention, as a sex worker, you have to be an expert on everything. So you have to be very good at learning processes, being open to criticism, especially when people see your body and start commenting on it, even when you didn't ask. But you have to be good at marketing and shooting and putting yourself out there and communicating. It is a job that is unlike any other, and sex workers, I want to end on this, are some of the hardest working people out there. As hard as you try, they are going to thrive and strive and make it through any hardships they face, as they have done since the beginning of time.
So as we're entering this new era of political unrest, make sure that you're sending some love to your content creators. Make sure you're paying your sex workers. Make sure that if you can spare, maybe even $5, $10 to throw someone a tip, it really does make a big difference.
And they do really appreciate it. Sex workers remember every single tip that they get, because not only do we talk, but it is an environment and an ecosystem where we are doing our best to just survive out there with these current political times that are happening. But that we're already talking behind the scenes and making sure we're taking care of each other and our communities. But regardless of enjoying it or shooting it, always have a safe word. And today's safe word, Sampson, is
cucumbers. Num between the toes.
I hate that. No. Not in front of my salad. So thank you again, Sampson, for coming on today. I appreciate being vulnerable and not only answering questions,
sensitive,
showing whole. Where can they find you if they want to find you on the interwebs?
I'm Sampson Knightley, just about everywhere.
And we'll have those linked down below. But beyond that, thank you again to our sponsors who make these episodes possible.
Check out Fume in the link down below. Use code SAFEWORD and you get a free topper when you get a Fume starter pack.
Please make sure you leave a comment down below. If there's any other questions you would like us to answer, we will be lurking in those comments.
If you like ringing bells, ring that bell.
And don't forget to subscribe and follow us on Patreon, where we put longer versions of these videos, but also you get ad-free viewing, you get podcasts, you get other updates, and maybe, I don't know, pictures of...
Get Sampson's booty pics.
Oh, I mean, we could. Check out the Patreon. Woo. And don't forget to subscribe for next week's video. We will see you next time. Bye-bye. We're leaving space for Define
Gravity.
gravity.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of course.
I've got like
Respectfully.
I can't do this with you anymore.
We were both thinking it. We were both thinking it, and I was giving it more space.
Yeah, you gave it more space than I did. You held more space to define gravity.